And welcome in live to at Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville, Kentucky. It's the Al Holland Coaches Show. And, Coach, welcome back this week.
Thanks for having me, and looking forward to a big week and get a recap this past week and on a tough loss.
I was going to say a tough beginning for you all around. I mean, losing the game and also losing T. Brown.
Yeah, so, that was a tough one for us. I felt like the kids competed there, and, it went to overtime, and we missed a lot of opportunities throughout the ball game, which, you can't make excuses. You got to find answers, and we got to make those plays as being an older veteran team. And then losing T. Brown in this ball game early in the first half there, we got off to a hot start, had 2 interceptions, 7 tackles, and, less than a half of a ball game. And that says how much he means to this football program and for us. And to lose him took a little bit of air out of us. But, we got to bounce back and find answers. And, he's had a successful surgery. And, we'll look forward to seeing that number 5 out there on the field with us come next fall.
All right, let's go to the highlights from last week's game with Kaiser.
They had a very athletic football team, and they had a lot of bright spots on their team. Got to give them credit where credit's due. I thought we had a great crowd and a lot of fan support. That was big for our kids, and we got to continue to have that. Willis had a big day for us in that offensive line, running the football, over 150 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Bowen Smith made some plays throughout the day. A big catch here by Braxton Whitmore there across the middle on a big drive there early in the game. There's T. Brown on his first pick in the ball game, showing that athleticism. Our other running back, Willie McLeod, with a big play here on 4th down. And then here we are. T. Brown comes out and makes a big play here on 3rd down. You continue to hear that name. Hey, Seth Napier here, laying it out for his team, getting the block punt. Wish he could have kept our feet and scored right there. It would have been a big one. I think we didn't come up with any points out of that one. Missed an opportunity on a field goal. And then here was a play where T got hurt with a nice pick and went down there. You hate to see that for a kid that worked so hard. Here's a big play by X. Sort of got some momentum going for us offensively and for the football team here. And a big play for us here in that second half. And you got guys running down the field to block, to lead the way right there, and it said a lot. And this is all on number 3 right here. A big, nice missed, made a miss in the backfield. And here it was to finish a drive, and that right there put us up 17 to 10, and or 15 to 10, and then we get the 2-point conversion. We could have stayed right there in the pocket, but nice throw by Bo, and that was a 4th down. That was a 3rd down stop, and they ended up getting the 4th down stop there in overtime, and they ended up scoring on that drive in overtime, and ball went through our hands there in overtime to them to get the interception and to seal the win. So, a tough way to open the season, but we can't live in the past. We got to live in the moment, and the next opportunity presents itself come this week. So we got to get better this week.
Talk a little bit about Bowen and his performance. And
Bo made some really nice plays throughout the game, but there's some things where we got to stay in the pocket, some things we got to critique and to get fixed. So we left some plays out on the field, and it was tough for him to sit back and watch film. Come Friday afternoon as we go through and critique that thing and really break that thing down. And Coach Hoskins does a great job with him and all the quarterbacks. So, I think we'll see a different guy out there this week. I think we only end up being like 10 of 26 this week, and that's uncharacteristic of him, because he's a very accurate thrower and sees the field well. So expect a big performance out of him to bounce back this week.
Talk a little bit about of course, you're talking about him bouncing back, but what were some of the good things you saw in the ball game last Thursday?
Yeah, defensively, guys just rallied to the football and making plays, and Tyler Cook stepping up. A guy we moved down from safety to outside linebacker did a heck of a job. Tyler Little, guy that's been in the program, and like I brag on him all the time, he was a guy when he was a freshman that came here and was ready to go home the first week. And, his dad said, hey, you're going to stick it out, son, and continue to work. And now look at him out there making plays for us and being a starter. And, that's a prime example of, hey, just staying with the process and continuing to buy in and do those things. So, seen a lot of great things out of him this past week. Josh Irvin, and first time him getting to play. He redshirted a year ago. So Jason Jones at that other defensive end that we brought in at mid-year last year and did a heck of a job. Bradley Cleveland had a solid game for us at Mike linebacker. So and then we'll get to talk to Sean Cook this afternoon, the senior safety that had a heck of a game for us as well.
Talk a little bit about offensively, some of the things you worked on this week.
Yeah, just being able to get off press man-to-man coverage and getting on top of our routes and finishing plays. Felt like we left some plays out on the field. So we got to finish those plays, whether it's a block on the perimeter and that's going to open something up for a bigger play, or whether it was just finishing a block and running our feet as an offensive lineman in those things. So we got to continue to work on those things to be successful this week, because you're going to have another very athletic football team that's going to come in here and play us at home this week.
Okay. Coach, we appreciate it. We'll be back with more on the Al Holland Show live from Pikeville's Buffalo Wild Wings right after this. And welcome back into the Al Holland Coaches Show live from Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville. We're joined now by senior offensive lineman Jacob Fields from Hazard. And Jacob, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it.
Talk a little bit about the offensive line's performance last week, and how would you grade you all's first game?
Well, even if you think you did good, it's always tough after a loss. So I would give us above average. We have good things, but we also have bad things and things we need to work on for the future.
Tell me a little bit about what you've done in the off season to improve your game and get better for this senior year.
Well, just work in that weight room, coming back from injuries, rehab, trying to do the best I can on and off the field.
Tell us a little bit, for people that don't know you, just a little bit about you and where you played in high school, and a little bit about you personally.
Well, originally from Hazard, Kentucky. I graduated from Hazard High School and won a state championship at Hazard. I'm a pretty old senior, one of the oldest guys on the team, so I like to take pride in that, be a veteran, and I'm just an all-around laid-back kind of guy.
Talk a little bit about the chemistry of the offensive line and what you guys kind of do, without the game around you, to kind of bond.
Well, offensive line, we're a close-knit group. It's us five together all the time. And off the field, we eat lunch together. We'll go out once a night, go get something to eat together, and we bond. We talk to each other. We're always together. When it's offensive line, we're the weird guys on the team, so we like to keep close together and always have each other's back.
Of course, Zandre had a big ball game for you all, and you guys were a big part of that. And Bowen, his first start with Sonny. Can you compare the difference between Bowen at quarterback and Sonny, and what you guys have to do different, or is there any real adjustment to that?
Well, I wouldn't say adjustment. I would say Sonny just had a little bit more experience, but
yeah.
Bo also won a conference championship when he was here, when he had the ring. So I don't think it's just the player. I think it's the offense just has to get our own groove. It's a new year, different team, and we just got to get our own groove as an offense.
Talk a little bit about this week's opponent, Livingstone. Have you seen film on them? Do you know much about them? Or?
Well, we know they're big up front, and they like to bring their guys. They like to load up the box, play man on the outside, and they want to try to stop us from running. And we like to run the ball, and that's one thing we take pride in.
Talk a little bit. I know you're an offensive guy, but just talk about the loss of T. Brown and what that does defensively for you guys.
You can't replace T. Brown. There's no one that works as hard as him, no one that prepares for the game like he does. He's an incredible kid, incredible guy to be around in the locker room, and just losing him is going to take some big shoes to fill, and I don't know if we ever could.
It's going to be tough. Tell us a little bit about the other guys that's up front for you all. Maybe just go through your starting five there up front and mention those guys.
You have at left guard, you have Jalen Stone, left tackle, all conference, Chase Richardson. Then you have JP, Justino Polanco, and you got Thomas Spears at right tackle. And you also have Wes Neese, who likes to come in and help out in the interior, help me out a little bit.
Talk a little bit about Kaiser last week and some of the defensive schemes that you all had to deal with. How were they speed-wise? And obviously a team in their first game in the NAIA, but just talk a little bit about what the difficulties were against those guys.
Well, they were big and they had motors. They came out regular fronts that we've seen before, and they just had different motors about them that they wouldn't stop, and that's probably one thing that we had most trouble with.
Talk a little bit about your relationship with Coach Al Holland and the rest of the coaches, but just talk a little bit what Al brings to the program.
He brings in love. He cares about each and every one of his players, knows about them personally, all the way to know their parents' names. And he's someone that's going to have your back no matter what and always depend on you like you depend on him.
How would you like to see this senior season wrap up for you?
Oh, of course, a conference championship winning season, make it through the full season, have a great season.
All right, we'll be back with more from Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville right after this break. And welcome back in to the Coach Al Holland Show. We're live here at Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville. We are joined now by defensive back Sean Cook, a senior out of Cincinnati, Ohio. And Sean, welcome to the show.
How you doing? Nice to be here.
I'm doing good. For the folks that are just getting to know you, just tell us a little bit about your background in high school and tell us a little bit about what folks don't know about you.
I'm from, like you said, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. Went to Princeton High School. In high school, I actually played corner. I didn't play safety until I got to UPike. Been playing safety since my freshman year. I like the transition. I'm left-handed. That's an interesting fact about me. So.
Okay, it's a good deal. Talk a little bit defensively last week. How you guys had to make adjustments after T. Brown went down.
Anytime you lose a player like T. Brown's caliber, obviously it affects your defense as a whole. But, we have a lot of young guys that were ready to step in, step up, and that would be ready to step in for the rest of the season. Defensively, our scheme, our calls really didn't change. We kind of pride ourselves on the next man up. So not a lot changed, just next man up, have to step up.
Talk about Kaiser, obviously a new program. How difficult was it for you guys to really prepare for them, not having the fact they had not played?
Yeah, it was difficult because we didn't have any film on them. So everything we were seeing from them, we were seeing for the first time. So we really weren't able to make adjustments until halftime, get to know what they like to do out of certain formations, the personnel. So it was difficult, but I felt like once we settled into the game after like the first couple drives, I felt like we were fine.
What were some of the schemes that they did that you feel like maybe caused y'all some problems, especially in the second half?
We felt like they hit us with a lot of motion just to test our integrity and see what our adjustments would be. So I felt like once we got adjusted to that, we were able to settle in a little bit. Second half, it's tough because we felt like we did what we needed to do. Just a couple stops here and there, and the game was on our back. We had, I think, 3 fourth and ones in an overtime period. So we got to find a way to get off the field in those situations.
Is it a little tougher for you guys to prepare for a Thursday game rather than a Saturday? Are there a lot of changes that take place, or?
There's just a lot of changes in the schedule. Last week we weren't in school. We started school on Monday, so
right.
It's a little bit of schedule change for this Thursday game. But I like Thursday games because you get to play under the lights. It's not really that bad of a schedule, but it's a little different than playing on Saturdays.
Yep. Of course, Livingstone coming here Thursday night. What do you know about them, or have you had a chance to look at any film on them?
Yeah, we've watched film on Livingstone. They're a very athletic team. We're going to have to be disciplined. Great tacklers in the open field, all 11 to the ball. Know our assignments. The coaches are going to put us in positions to make plays. It's going to be up to us to execute and make those plays.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about what you've done in the off season to better yourself for this senior year.
I've had hamstrings problems in the past, so This offseason I've really focused on my leg strength, being able to sustain my level of play throughout the course of a season, and also just working on my leadership. We have a lot of young guys, a lot of guys that need that guidance and just being around for them, helping them string those guys along.
You got a new defensive coordinator this year. Just talk a little bit about what he brings to help you guys, and how's that early bonding with him been?
Coach Anderson is great. When I think of him, I think of energy and competition. He brings a lot of energy to practice, a lot of excitement, and he preaches competition. We have to compete. That's the only way we're going to get better. So I feel like with him as our defensive coordinator, that culture of energy and competition, the sky's the limit.
Talk a little bit about Coach Holland and what he's meant to you personally.
Coach Holland's meant a lot to me. Obviously, he gave me opportunity to come to U-Pike and play football. Just always being somebody that you can go into his office and talk to about anything, whether it's football, school, relationships, anything. Definitely look up to him. Positive role model in my life.
That's a good thing for you.
Yeah.
How about you personally wearing the U-Pike uniform? What's it going to mean to you by the end of this season when you look back at what you've accomplished, and how do you think emotionally you will feel about being a Bear?
I feel great about my decision to come here. Obviously, the last game, it's going to be emotional because it's the end of my college career. But I'm grateful I had the opportunity to come here and play. This program has meant a lot to me, to my family, opportunities to play football and go to school. So it's meant a lot.
Yeah. Buddy, we appreciate you taking time to talk with us.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
We'll be back with more on the Al Holland Show, live from Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville after this. And welcome back into the Coach Al Holland Show, live here from Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville. And, Coach, this week it's Livingstone. Tell us a little bit about them.
Very athletic football team. They didn't play last week, so this is their first game. Coaches went out and, we traded 2 deeps and we've traded rosters. So, just going through their roster and seeing who's back and things like that. Had 8 guys that played for them last year back on defense. They returned one of their quarterbacks that rotated last year, one of the running backs, so and some guys up front. So, we see some familiar names on film that we traded from a year ago. So, but they got some new pieces. Some junior college guys, some transfer guys from other colleges. So, it's going to be very interesting, and we're going to sort of figure them out as we go into week 2 here, sort of like last week, and hopefully we make those adjustments a little sooner and get to playing a little faster this week.
You had a game last Thursday. They've not played.
Right.
Is that an advantage or a disadvantage for you, do you think?
Well, one disadvantage is we'll be without number 5 in the back end, so that makes it a little tougher for us. But the advantage is you got those first game jitters out. You've got into a rhythm. You got you're into a game week routine now, and the guys understand and know what to expect. So especially some of the new guys and that's sort of getting some playing time. So I feel like it is an advantage for us, and hopefully we've learned from this past week's mistakes, and we grow from that as a football team, and we get better week 2 here, and you see a lot of improvement out of us offensively, defensively, and special teams this week.
What are the different challenges that they bring to the table compared to Kaiser a week ago?
Well, I feel like it's a lot of very similar things, that Kaiser brought to the table. They're going to be very athletic on defense. They're going to get after you, try to put some pressure on you. So we got to be sound in our game plan offensively. And, defensively, they're going to for us, we're going to have to be sound there and adjust to their formations because, hey, they're going to be in spread. They're going to get down and tight and some run formation. So we just have to make sure we're in position, we get lined up correctly so that, hey, we can play sound football and fly to the football and make tackles. So, special teams-wise, we got to be sound there. And I feel like, hey, a lot of times in your first game, it's always a little bit tougher. And, that's, hopefully an advantage for us being in week 2. We got some things ironed out that we can be more successful in our special teams as well.
Well, you were talking about special teams, and that's one of the things
Right.
I was going to ask you. Of course, missing a couple of field goals,
Right.
but what do you do as a coach to make him better understand the game and keep his mind set straight?
And he's not a new player to the program.
Right.
He understands the importance of it. So, how can we make those everyday practice opportunities feel like a game day situation? So, hey, when we got field goal going on, we get the team rallied around them and yelling and screaming and even make it bigger than what it really is at that moment. Or, hey, let's put more pressure on it. Hey, we've got a gasser on this one. Hey, if you make this, nobody runs. If you miss it, the whole team runs. Little things like that. Because, hey, it's not just him. There's been many ball games that, hey, I won a conference championship before, and when I was playing, when we blocked a field goal, I've won one. We've made one and beat Georgetown.
Right.
Hey, and we've lost some games before. 1 year we're playing it shorter, and we go down to taking the ball down the field to score, and we get one blocked, to lose a game. So, I've been on all ends of it, and every one of those guys is important, from the guys that are blocking to the guys holding to kicking to snapping that football. So we got to be sound on that. And just like I told those guys, and I said in my post game the other day, is all the years I've been coaching, the times that we've missed an extra point, we've only won one of those ball games. So that's how important even that 1 point is. And, and I've shared that with their team many a times. And, it's come back to haunt us this past week, and we never did overcome it.
And the thing about that, too, is, it could have been a play during the drive, a penalty that changes the whole momentum of the situation.
Yeah, and, in a team that's bringing back veterans to your team and having 10 penalties, almost 100 yards or right at around 100 yards, you can't have that. We got to be the team that's, 4 or 5 penalties, and, hey, those are, questionable calls. And, and I'm questioning that part of it that, we're just playing so fast that, hey, sometimes things like that happen. We're playing hard. So, we got to regroup. We got to, focus back in and focus on ourselves. The Bears can't beat the Bears this week. We got to focus back in and be ready to go to beat Livingstone. And we got to play for a full 4 quarters. And if it takes overtime, hey, we got to be prepared and be ready to go in that situation.
How does it change for you guys as a coaching staff to have Thursday games rather than Saturday? How does that affect your schedule? And
it's a big schedule change for us because, hey, now we come back on Friday and, hey, we'll have class, we'll hit weights throughout the day, get film in and put this game behind us. And then, now Saturday becomes our off day, and I give those guys that day as an off day, and we're back in Sunday. So now, hey, we're in there as coaches and breaking everything down and trying to get to church and then back as soon as we can get back. And then we're out on the practice field, and, it's a late evening that evening. And then Monday becomes, a grind day as well and trying to continue to prepare. And then, Tuesdays is another weight day in practice like today. So Wednesday becomes a practice day, walkthrough type, and then Thursday's game day compared to flipping it to our normal schedule, as in Saturday being game day. Sundays, hey, it's just review film, get the weights, get the soreness out. Monday's a practice day. Tuesday's practice day with weights. Wednesday's our off day in the middle of the week. Helps us in the classroom as well to get caught up there and make sure we're on top of things. And then, hey, Thursday's our perfect Thursday practice, and what we call Friday our walkthrough or run-through, or it's a travel day for us, getting ready for Saturday.
Yeah. Thursday night obviously gives you a chance to get a good crowd, and I thought we had a really good crowd last week. Maybe just talk about that a little bit.
Hats off to our community. I got to say, hey, come out and support these young men, and, hey, don't give up on these young men. They're working their tails off, and they're doing things right, and they're continuing to grow. They're 18 to 22-year-olds. They make mistakes just like anybody else, and, we made too many mistakes this past week, but they're working hard. They're back at it, and have had a great week of practice so far, and continuing to find their way and to find their momentum here as we push through this season, because it's a long year, and we haven't even got to conference play. We're a long way away from that. These things help build character for us to get to conference play to be successful there, and that's where we try to put our guys in these situations. But, another thing is we had that great support in our fans and students and our band and cheerleaders and dance team and all those people that came out. But, our new thing with our tailgating with the Bears, I thought that was a big hit this past week. So make sure you get out there early. I know, hey, a lot of us are getting off at 5 o'clock and then trying to push to get out there. But, tailgate does start at 5 till 7, and the first 400 get to eat for free. So this week we got Giovanni's coming out. So, really appreciate all of our local restaurants doing that. Jimmy John's did a great job this past week. So get out there and support these guys. Get some free food before kickoff and stuff, and have a great Thursday night with us as we look to regroup and to get back on the winning track.
Coach, we appreciate you and look forward to being there Thursday night. Good luck against Livingston.
Sure appreciate you guys, and thanks for everything. And it's great having the show here at Buffalo Wild Wings, and appreciate everything you guys do for us, too.
We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
That'll do it for the Al Holland Show this week at Buffalo Wild Wings. Be sure and join us again next Tuesday night, live at 6:30 for Week 3 of the college football season. Till then, good night.